Hafide, and welcome back to Extra. It is a wonderful opportunity to play a benefit show for some of our Guamanian families and friends who are going through very challenging times right now at St. Luke's Hospital in Manila. Joining me now on how we can help make that become a reality is local musician Joe Guam. Thank you. Hafide, how you been?
Good, good, good. Zeus Masi for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for coming in because this is such a wonderful event, and it's also very personal for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So at any given time, many people probably know in Guam, there's about 150 to 300 Guamanians that are quote-unquote stuck at St. Luke's, meaning they had to go to St. Luke's in Manila to get medical treatment because they can't get it here on Guam. A couple years ago, my first cousin, one day she's just going to work, the next day she's in Manila for 8 straight months without her kids because of a serious condition, right? And then I have a first cousin right now that's been there for 5 months getting treated. So I'm sure we all have some connection to someone who's had to go there, right? So if you've been there and if you've walked the halls, we were just there, my wife and I were just there in February. We had to get a fetal echocardiogram performed on our baby that's due in June just to make sure. We have a history with my son passing away almost 3 years ago. Yeah. So we went just for precautionary methods. You know, we're walking the halls and I ran into a guy from Palau and we see some folks there from Guam. And so there's a lot of Guamanians that are there for not so fun reasons like, you know, vacation. And when I had it was really blessed to be able to, someone flew me out there to play a show back in 2017. I thought I was just going to play another show, and what I didn't realize was how well received and how much people were so grateful and thankful for it, just because it's something it's a connection to home that they haven't had in such a long time. And I was like, man, you know, that's such a little easy thing for me to do to play a show there. And it had such an effect, you know, a profound effect on everybody there. So I was like, man, we can do this more. So I had an idea. I told my wife, I was like, let's bring Mes Chamorro to these folks out here. Just give them a fiesta, give them something that they can hold on to from Guam for just a little bit, just an uplifting spirit. And so I had the idea. I tossed the idea to some friends of mine who own businesses on Guam and see if they wanted to partner in the mission. And a bunch of people jumped on to help us. So we're coming out there March 29, which is a Friday. 2 to 4 p.m. It'll be at St. Luke's in Global City. Now, there's 2 locations out there. Yeah. There's Global City and Quezon City. By taxi or by Grab car, they're about an hour apart. They're inviting both. So if you're at Quezon City and that's where you're getting treated and you have the ability to, you know, to make it, they're providing a shuttle. The shuttle has limited seating, so we want to make sure everyone registers. But even that, the Grab car is only like $6, I think, you know. So, but the show's gonna be in the Piano Lounge at Global City. 2 to 4 p.m. doors open at 1:30, and all we're asking is just to let your family know if you know folks that are out there. You know, it's amazing, but like the most effective method of communication to our Guamanian, you know, brothers and sisters that are out there in Manila is through family WhatsApp. Yeah. Interesting because that's the cheapest. It's the most convenient. So if you know anybody, please just ask them to go to joeguam.com to register because we just want to have a count of how many people there are. There's only 150 seats in the area. If we surpass that, you know, we can talk about a second show. But for right now, we just want to get people to register just to save your spot and let us know how much, you know, we're dealing with.
Just take me back though. You mentioned that you went out there and you performed shows at the hospital. You know, tell me about that moment when you performed and the reaction you were getting from the people that were watching.
Okay, so it was interesting. The day before the show, we went room to room to a couple of folks who were bedridden and didn't have the ability to physically make the show. I mean, if you've ever been in a hospital, I think you probably have family members. It's a very personal space, right? You know, you're vulnerable in there, and you're not at your best state, you know, of presentation. So for these folks to actually welcome me in, we asked permission first. You know, hey, do you want? So for these folks to actually welcome me in, and some of them were there with their family, some of them actually engaged in song. You know, so I was fortunate. Some knew me, and you know, they're like, "Hey, can you play this song?" And I was like, "Absolutely, I'll play whatever you want." You know. So I got a chance to play some music, bring some of our, you know, our culture, just a touch of home up there. And that was powerful. That night, I went by myself. My wife was there, but she was taking care of the baby. So shout out to my beautiful wife for supporting all the back-end house stuff, you know. But she was taking care of our daughter, and when I went back home, she was like, "So how was it today?" You know, thinking like it was just going to be like another conversation we have where I talk about all my gigs or my shows. And I was like, "Let's have a seat. let's sit down and talk about this one." I go, "This one was different, hon." And I said, "There's a person who had a stroke, and the person who had the stroke wasn't doing too well, and they had, you know, I played for them, and they asked for a song, and I played, and you know, it was very emotional, and that person later passed away. And I looked at her and I said, the chance that I got just to be with them and to have that experience, to enhance their mood, their state of being, their life, their emotions, just for that one moment, you know, that was huge. Yeah. I mean, it was so little for me just to strum some strings, you know, I mean, and so just to have that opportunity. And then we played the show, and people were telling my wife, you know, they had to move there basically. They bought a place there, they bought a car, because he said if his mom was on Guam, she'd die, because the treatment's not there, right? They don't have the treatment. I didn't get into specifics, but there was those kinds of feelings. But then included in that whole scenario was the feelings you get at the fiesta. Yeah. There's a bunch of people who knew each other. Hey, I remember you from way back. Really, there's just this reconnection. And, you know, I lived in the States for 12 years. I'm not sure if you ever lived in the States. When you live in the States, it's like all the, you know, the kind of the tribal divisions that we have on Guam, you know, who you're with, what school you went to. That's all a fun camaraderie, and it's a fun competition we have on Guam. When you go out of the States, all of that levels out. Yeah. Really. It's like, hey, what school did you go to? I went, you know, and where the difference of high schools in Guam may be a rivalry on Guam, out there it becomes a commonality, which is like a reverse, and it levels out. So the same thing kind of happens. So what we're trying to do with this event is we're trying to bring the camaraderie together. I want to make connections with the audience through music, but we also want to provide an opportunity for all of our Guamanian brothers and sisters to also make a connection with each other. Maybe they find someone, hey, you know, maybe I can help you, you can help me, or what that kind of, just to give that spirit of Mestamoru, and just to give the spirit of our culture for just a little bit, just to give that uplifting chance, you know.
Well, we certainly thank you for what you're doing. Where can people get more information, or how can they become involved?
JoeGuam.com. JoeGuam.com is the a dedicated event webpage. It has all the information, the details. It also is where we have to say thank you to the partners that have made this opportunity possible. So, but the registration page is on there. If you just go to JoeGuam.com, there's a huge St. Luke's link on there. You click on it, and at the bottom it shows just ask to register. We just ask you to register the patient's name and then just the number of guests that are going to bring. So all the guests who are accompanying the patient are invited. We know that this is a challenge for you too. If you've ever been there, usually what families do is they go, okay, I'm taking my 3 weeks leave here, then I'll switch with you, you take the next 3 weeks, and you know, that's kind of how we have to do it, right? So it moves, so and ends up being that way.
Well, thank you so much for your time. For more information, again, he said go to joeguam.com. Also, Andy Wheeler from I-94 FM, he has a podcast right now on KUM's Facebook page and SoundCloud, so make sure to check that out. Stay tuned. We're back with more after the break.
The next generation Galaxy has arrived. See it and believe it. The Infinity O displays the most innovative Galaxy screen yet.